Welcome to the second episode of How Big Countries Got Big. Now, in the last episode, we talked about the territorial evolution of Canada. Today, we're going to talk about its southern, older neighbor, the USA. Without further ado, let's begin. Just like the last episode, this episode left has the map, right has a few pictures, and it will also show the current time period that is going on. Currently, we're talking about the Treaty of Paris. Most people think that when the USA got independence, it looked like that. However, it actually looked like, well, that. Well, that's the territory they claimed when they got independence. However, the UK did not recognize them. After the Treaty of Paris, however, this happened. Whoa, that is a lot of land. That is the recognized land. Here you can see basically what has been happening throughout the years 1782 to 1802. The reason I'm showing you this is because this is going to probably be a pretty long video, and I just want you to look carefully at it. So if you want, you can just take a picture of this and look at it later. I'm not going to really explain it in detail. All you need to know, there are some disputes with Great Britain. The Spanish, they also had a dispute with the Spanish. However, in 1795, it was ceded. Then there's also a ton of federal territory here, and you can see that their borders basically go all the way out, as you can see, to cover up that land. However, this will soon become states. As you can see, in Virginia, we now have Kentucky, and then later Tennessee. Yeah. They also made the Capital Territory. By the way, the Mississippi Missouri River, that's the river they made the border on. Yeah, they made this Capital Territory, the District of Columbia. It's really just a square. And it looks like, it doesn't really look like the District of Columbia as it is today. And we'll find out what it looks like later. But yeah, that's really it for before the Louisiana Purchase. I'm going to start talking about that now. Now comes a purchase. So, yeah, Louisiana Purchase, essentially. How did this happen? Why did this happen? Who did this happen? When did this happen? How happened? Well, you see, Napoleon had all this territory and Americas so that he could make maybe like a North American army or something. However, he couldn't really send goods there. So he decided to send it to their ally there, the USA. Remember, they're allies. They're very close allies currently because France is the one that helped them in the war. So France decided to sell this to the US. The US has already actually wanted it, so they set forth to try to buy it. However, they just only wanted like 1/4, I think, of the land for a tiny bit of money. But they offered it all for the low price of $15 million. Yep, that's all, $15 million. That was approximately 4 cents per acre. Today would be about 370 to 429 million, however, but still pretty cheap. This territory, called the District of Louisiana, was later organized as the Louisiana Territory. Next, Oregon Country. So first we have the 49th parallel. Before this, French territory of Louisiana had a bit geometric like curvy line above our current US borders, and it also had some land that wasn't the US borders. The UK and the USA now set a line with the 49th parallel as the new border from there. The USA lost some land from the Louisiana Purchase, but eventually they got the bigger part of the deal as they got a amount of land double the size of the land they lost. Oregon Country, this piece of land right over here, is established as a joint control region with the United Kingdom. And I can show you what it looks like from the United Kingdom. If you look here, it basically has most of British Columbia, which is now part of Canada. Then we have border stuff with the Spanish and the Americans. The border is fixed to be more geometric and simple rather than curvy, dervy. Very simple. So, other things that happen with Spain and America. East Florida and West Florida are ceded to the USA, becoming the Territorial Florida and later to the state of Florida. Next, the border with the United Kingdom east of the Rocky Mountains is defined, adding to disputes along the northern border. Next, the Republic of Texas annexed and admitted as the 28th state, Texas. I could talk all about this, but we don't really have enough time. I could make an entire video on this, actually. Oregon Country is dissolved, which ends the joint control. However, this starts a dispute since the treaty is vague on where the border should be. BC is redrawn, and the land from Virginia goes back. Mexico cedes all its territories of Santa Fe de Nuevo Mexico and Alta California to the U.S. after losing the Mexican-American War. This starts a border dispute. Next, we have all this land being reorganized. Kansas and Nebraska territories are organized, and the remaining parcels become Indian Territory and the public land strip. Next, the Gadsden Purchase. It is a purchase of this land from Mexico to the USA. Next, the Guano Islands Act. The Guano Islands Act was basically like, hey, USA, any island with oil on it is something you can claim. So here are all the islands it claims. Baker Island, Jarvis Island, Navassa Island, Howland Island, Johnston Atoll, Hawaii does not like that, USA. Yeah. Enbury Island, McKean Island, Phoenix Island, Starbuck Island, Christmas Island, Malden Island, Atafu, Burnie, Botany, Canton, Caroline, Fanning, Flint, Gardiner, Kingman, Mahiki, Macarian, Cornwall, Palmyra, Penryn, Puka Puka, Ranglanga, Swain, Sydney, Vostok, and Washington are all claimed under the Guano Islands Act. Next is the American Civil War, which makes a CSA. Western Virginia breaks away because it wants to be part of the Union and is admitted as the 35th USA. After the war between the CSA and the USA wins and the Confederate States dissolve and are each readmitted into Congress. Palmyra Island was annexed by Hawaii and the United States claim falls dormant. Mad. The Swan Islands are claimed on the Guano Islands Act. Okay. Martin Island was claimed by the United Kingdom. So is Starbucks. And Midway Island. Yeah, Midway Atoll is claimed. Nice. Columbia claims an Atlantic Caribbean island. Bad. Alaska is purchased from Russia and designated to the Department of Alaska. The southern part of the border with the United Kingdom is disputed. So yeah, Russia, USA, huh? Then once the territory is transferred to Canada, which makes some disputes, then Alaska becomes a district, and Canada is with British Columbia, making a full-on dispute. Hawaii is then annexed by the United States. That means claim to Johnson Admiral is now gone. Now, the Spanish-American War. Basically, Spanish destroyed the American vessel. American get mad. American win war, which means they get Philippines, Guam, and Puerto Rico. Yeah. The Eastern Samoan Islands are annexed. Hawaii is organized as a territory. And finally, the Philippines become independent. And the Alaska boundary dispute is resolved generally in favor of the USA. Canada does get some land from the claim, though. But does the USA care? Not really. The United States takes ownership of the Panama Canal after a deal that if they fought for Panama in Panama Independence Revolution, then the USA would get the Panama Canal. Final continental states: New Mexico Territory is admitted as the 47th new state, and Arizona Territory is admitted as the 48th state. New Mexico and Arizona are both given very unique new names: New Mexico and Arizona. The District of Alaska is remade as a territory, and the Danish West Indies are purchased from Denmark and renamed the United States Virgin Islands. Puerto Rico is renamed Puerto Rico, and a ton of stuff happens with the Panama Canal, making a ton of different border stuff. The United Nations entrusts the USA with the trust territory of the Pacific Islands. Alaska Territory is admitted as the 49th state. Alaska, Hawaii, nearly all of Hawaii is admitted as the 50 state Hawaii. However, Palomar Atoll is excluded from statehood and remains a territory. Used to be called Hawaii Territory, is then renamed Palomar Atoll. Marshall Islands, Federated States of Micronesia, and Palau all become independent. Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands become territories of the USA, and everything else gets military aid by the USA. Finally, the Panama Canal goes to the USA. Actually, just kidding, it goes to Panama. And that's it. Thanks for watching this video. It was kind of rushed since I didn't want this video to be too long. But thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time.